Okay, we're up and going. This is College Prep English at Excellence in Education. We're going on late this time because we've been doing a test. And that seemed like sort of a boring thing to have go on. So boy, there we go. Okay. Okay, so I'm not sure exactly what the Google Hangouts is showing. Oh, I've got to turn on the screen sharing. Okay, there's screen sharing. And here you go. All right, so everybody has put something down for each one of these. Let's just go through them very quickly.
Anyone need a pen?
These are fairly pivotal points in the story. If you don't know who said these, then you probably don't have a really good grasp of the story and the characters. So the first one, so we go around the table, Nicholas.
Sorry. I put Orsino.
Orsino, absolutely. First line of the play, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And indeed, he's lovesick and using music as a crutch there. Okay, number two. So go ahead and mark yours off if you got something else there. Be honest.
Incorrect, right?
And pass it off if you were correct with Orsino. Number two, what is your parentage?
My turn, that's it.
Okay, okay. Azariah, do you have that one?
No.
Andrew?
Well, I put Orsino again, but I'm not sure if that's right.
Dawson?
I also put Orsino.
I put Malvolio.
I picked Lady Olivia.
Good for you.
Oh,
wow. Guesswork all around. Okay.
I wasn't
Please
guessing.
mark your things appropriately. The fairly recent version that I talked about, and in fact, I think I showed you a clip of that one that was done with period costumes and everything. Mark Rylance, who played the Lady Olivia, interpreted this one so differently and so in such a fascinating way. I mean, he's trying to convey that the lady has just fallen head over heels in love, and she is tripping all over her tongue, and she's as she's listening to and speaking with Cesario. And then when he leaves, she realizes, of course, that this has been taking place. And she berates herself for what she has said. And instead of saying, at that point, she says, "What is your parentage?" But the way he did it was, "What is your parentage?" Huh? In other words, she's making fun of herself for having said something so idiotic. And it just works so beautifully in that context. Anyway, it is the Lady Olivia. Next one, the Honorable Lady of the House, which is she? They've all got veils on.
Isn't it Olma?
Who?
Olma?
Well,
wait,
what was it again?
We're on number 3.
Honorable Lady of the House.
I'm not sure who Olma is.
Okay, for this, let me give you help. I try to use deductive reasoning for this. For number 2, what is your parentage? That sounds kind of like an interrogative question, usually when you're looking to hire someone. So I thought, Olivia was looking for work, so I picked her. And then number 3, the Honorable Lady of the House, which is she. I'm assuming a guy said that because a male said that because one of the males who was probably in love with the Lady Olivia. I picked Sir Andrew.
Well, that's interesting. And All right, the honorable lady of the house, which is she? Do you remember the scene? I think we're up to Andrew for answering this one, but do you remember the scene? It's the first scene with where Cesario comes in to talk with the Lady Olivia, and she's got all of these women, her serving women as well, all wearing veils, so you can't see her face. Later on, she's asked to remove her veil. So Cesario is concerned to waste her speech upon the wrong person, and said, "Which the lady of the house, which is she?" So the answer is Viola Cesario.
Ah.
That's good. Was Cesario on that list, or?
Interesting. Cesario isn't mentioned there. Viola, of course, is.
Yeah, that's what I noticed as well.
Wow.
It's interesting, however, everybody else is described and Viola isn't. All right. This, I think, is really, for our purposes, one of the most important lines in the entire play. For I can sing and speak to him in many sorts of music that will allow me very worth his service. Dawson?
Well, kind of sounds like something that Essay might say, but yet again, the way that's kind of played out doesn't really seem like.
Who is seeking service?
I put Viola.
You're right.
Uh,
And indeed, she is confident. She's educated. She is
Yeah.
sharp.
That's what I remember.
Mhm.
She
Exactly.
came from
Yeah.
educated.
And she says this to
Maybe
whom?
choose that.
Let's see.
To the sea captain. Sea captain who rescues her. Very beginning.
Right.
Okay, Barb, mark your points down there. If it be worth stooping for, there it lies in your eye. If not, be it his that finds it. What is it? What is it that's...
Wasn't too sure about this one.
Okay, you remember the ploy. This is a standard ploy among couples, when courting in any situation. If someone wants to lay the groundwork for further interaction, there are a lot of sneaky little ways to do this. Leave something in somebody's trunk. Drop a handkerchief, forget your phone.
Wait.
What does the Lady Olivia do in order to make sure to see Cesario again?
Of course, she leaves her ring, right?
Right, she sends in the ring. How does she send in the ring?
Through Viola, who is disguised as.
No.
Wait.
Whom does she give the ring to?
Oh, she's sending it back to.
That's what she says, but that's not what's going on.
Wait, she likes the servant. She likes Viola, who's disguised
Right.
as.
So she gave her no ring. So she takes a ring of her own and tells Malvolio to take it back and give it to the messenger.
Yeah.
And say, I'll have none of it. Take it back to your master. And so Malvolio is told, okay. So he goes out and tries to give it to her. Viola knows, however, she never gave him anything. So what's this all about? It's again, she recognizes it as that ploy. Okay, so indeed, it is Malvolio who says that line. If it be worth stooping for, there it lies in your eye. If not, be it his that finds it. Okay, Malvolio, put that one down. Thou hast need send for more money. Money really only comes up twice in this play. So who would be saying that to whom?
Oh, I forgot to do number 7.
Well, it's either Is it the clown? The guy who asked Olivia for money?
No, you're absolutely right. He does talk about money. This is not he. That's another instance where he's begging. Would not two of these have bread, having received a single coin?
I
But-
pit or cereal?
Who is
But now I don't know why I pit that because
okay? Well, the question is who is exploiting whom? Who's taking advantage of whom? Who's spending all of the money to buy the ale that they are all drinking?
Sir Toby.
at night?
Yes.
Okay, he's spending the money. Whose money is it?
It's Lady
Olivia's?
Olivia's.
No.
Egg-cheek. Egg-cheek. He is the one who is funding all of this, and so this is Sir Toby Belch saying to Egg-cheek, "Thou hadst need send for more money." And Egg-cheek is hoping to make money out of this because he's hoping to wed the Lady Olivia. And so Sir Toby Belch is constantly waving this possibility in front of him, trying to persuade him to stay. And indeed, at one point, he decides he wants to go home, and Sir Toby changes his
there'll be
mind.
another part of the test, right?
I'm sorry?
Will there be another part of the
Yeah,
test?
Yeah, there's
Two
two.
other-
Yes, there will.
Okay.
Two other sections.
This is the easy part. I'm sorry. Okay. Now, who says, now this is such a wonderful line. Are you not mad indeed, or do you but counterfeit? Who is mad, and who speaks to him? When the fool looks to the madman. Okay, who is put in a dark room because he's gone mad?
It's
Yeah,
Malvolio, indeed. Okay, and so are you not mad indeed, or do you but counterfeit? Who speaks to Malvolio while he's locked up?
Feste.
Feste, exactly. Some of the time pretending to be Sir Topaz. That's a hint.
Mhm.
Okay. Then it comes in as himself. Are you not mad indeed, or do you but counterfeit? Are you pretending to be mad? Okay. Okay, and then you all know this next one. Fool, I'll requite it in the highest degree. Who says it? What is he asking for?
Fool. Quite.
Okay, you know whom he's talking to at this point. He's talking to the fool. But who's talking to the fool? And what is he asking for? He's asking for light, paper, and ink. Says it several times. Because he's locked up and he wants to write a letter to the Lady Olivia and explain, you know,
Oh, it's
what they've done to him. So he's
Mhm.
asking the fool for light, paper, and ink. And I will requite it in the highest degree. Who got that one right?
That was
That was
the,
Malvolio.
yeah, Malvolio, wasn't it?
You-
I put that down, but I wasn't sure if that was correct.
Okay. Oh, okay. Let's go on quickly here. She loves me, sure. The cunning of her passion invites me in this churlish messenger.
Malvolio.
Nope.
I thought so because
Malvolio is the churlish
he
messenger.
got played. I thought Malvolio got tricked.
He does,
and
indeed.
by a letter.
No, you're absolutely
got-
right. You're absolutely right. Malvolio is tricked by the letter, and he concludes that his lady is in love with him.
Yeah.
But he never says this.
Dang it.
No, instead she loves me, sure. The cunning of her passion invites me in this churlish messenger. It's Malvolio bringing the ring that she's talking about,
Mhm.
the churlish messenger. It's Malvolio who's the churlish messenger. So who says it? Whom does he give the ring to? Or in front of whom, in whose eye does he put it down, be it his that finds it? Viola. Right? Viola Cesario. Okay, so Viola is indeed saying this. She loves me, sure. The cunning of her passion invites me in this churlish messenger. She has this wonderful little monologue at that point where she says, what's going on here? He loves her. She loves me. And I love him. How will this fadge? It's just too... time must untangle this, not I. It is too hard a knot for me to untie, she said. Okay, so that's this is part of that little part. Okay, next one. What thriftless sighs shall poor Olivia breathe? Okay, somebody say something.
Maria? No.
No,
What did I
no.
put down?
No, I don't think Maria would ever refer to her lady as Olivia, because she's her serving lady.
Mhm.
I
She
put
wouldn't refer to her
Ursinio.
first. I'm sorry?
I put Ursinio.
No. Okay, anybody get it?
It could be Sir Andrew. I don't know.
It's Viola again.
Hey, what?
When
Oh,
she's
that's
contemplating this in this little monologue,
Wait.
she's contemplating all of this confusion. He's in love with her, she's in love with me, and I'm in love with him. How will all this go? And then she reflects on the fact that poor Olivia has no idea that she's in love with a lady. Indeed, she has no idea that Viola is a woman. And so what thriftless sighs will poor Olivia breathe? Indeed, she's in love with somebody who is not a man. Okay. This one's a little bit harder, but come what may, I do adore thee so that danger shall seem sport, and I will go.
Oh, Antonio?
Excellent. Absolutely. Okay, everybody write that down. Antonia. Speaking to... Though he's
Speaking to, was it Sebastian?
Sebastian. Though Sebastian has already exited the scene,
Mhm.
he's
gone.
still speaking to him. On a forgotten matter, we can hardly make distinction of our hands. This is pivotal and crucial to the entire subplot of the story.
Sebastian?
No. This we can hardly make distinction of our hands. What is meant by that? It means we can't tell our handwriting apart. Okay, who writes like whom?
Somebody writes like Olivia.
Yeah, somebody.
That's
else.
right. Somebody writes like Olivia.
It's
Mariah.
Maria.
Absolutely.
Maria.
Yes, it's spelled the same, but generally pronounced Mariah. Yeah.
Oh, Mariah.
Okay, so indeed, that's how they fooled poor Malvolio. I smell a device. And then the next person says, I have it in my nose too. So who says it first? Oh, okay. What is the device? What device is used in the subplot, in the Malvolio subplot, what is the device used?
A letter?
Absolutely. Okay. So who would say, I smell a device? Someone has just said, as you can see up here, on a forgotten matter, we can hardly make distinction of our hands. Where does she go after that? I can write very much like my lady. Upon which Sir Toby says, the next line up there, I smell a device. Okay, so put it down as Sir Toby and mark yourselves wrong if you got somebody else there. Okay, the next one of the great lines of Shakespeare that everybody remembers. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. You've got to remember that one. Okay. Anybody?
Could be Destiny, maybe?
It's in the letter. It's Mariah. She wrote it in the letter. Malvolio reads it, but Mariah wrote it in the letter. Oh my goodness. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. One of the other beautiful lines that's gone into standard usage in English. Patience on a monument, smiling at grief.
Maybe Olivia, because he's reading today.
Not Olivia.
Sir Andrew.
No. Oh, good grief. I need some help from you folks to figure out how best to present this material so we actually get it across. Oh my goodness.
I was studying plot.
Yeah.
I was studying that
Same.
plot.
Dialogue.
Same.
At all.
Well, maybe we should have done more reading it ourselves, but I always feel that hearing it said, hearing it spoken, hearing it recited by experts who know how to do it is really the best way to get it in your ear, but it does require repetition. Okay, so patience on a monument, smiling at grief. It comes right after. And did thy sister die of her love? And what is going on? Who's speaking to whom when we're talking about that? When one of them says, my father had a daughter once, loved a man. Who says that?
That's Viola.
Absolutely. Viola.
Yeah.
Interesting, it's spelled just like the instrument, the viola, but it's pronounced viola. And so, indeed, that's what she goes on to say. She is watching this take place. Patience on a monument, smiling at grief. She's describing her sister, but indeed, she's talking about herself. She doesn't say her sister. She says, my father had a daughter once. This is a big hint to Dork Orsino, who thinks she's female. So my father had a daughter once. Okay. Westward Ho. Just write it down. It was Viola. When Viola, there lies thy path due west, then westward ho. Okay, who would have said this? Who would have said this wonderful line? Many a good hanging prevents a bad marriage. It's not so much a pivotal part of the plot as it is, this is a wonderful character note for the character who says it. Who would say such a thing? Think about it. It's
Sir
a clever
Toby?
thing to say, isn't it?
Sir Toby.
Feste.
That was
I'm sorry?
Feste.
Feste. Indeed, it has to be the fool who says something that's that clever, really. Many a good hanging prevents a bad marriage. Where'er I woo, myself would be his wife. Okay, we've got to know that one.
many good. We're on 18? Okay.
This is 18.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, it's Viola talking about Orsino. Okay, write it down. Okay, the next one said, Sir Toby will be sworn that I am no fox, but he will not pass his word for its tuppence that you are no fool. You can guess just from the context there who said that.
That would be Sir Andrew.
It's Feste. Feste. Write it down. Mark it off. Okay, and here's a crucial part of the whole thing. Even so quickly may one catch the plague? What plague is being discussed here?
Love. Love.
Love. You're absolutely right. Sorry, I couldn't hear you. Yeah, indeed, falling in love. Now, a lot of different people fall in love in this thing, so that doesn't really narrow it down
Yeah,
that much.
that's
But when we're talking about someone who has fallen in love within the scene that we have just watched, even so quickly, may one catch the plague. Somebody goes from a state of not knowing someone at all to being head over heels in love with that person within one scene.
Lady Olivia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very good, very good.
So that-
Even so quickly may one catch the plague, Lady Olivia is speaking indeed to herself. Okay, add up your points. Did anybody get 5? Okay, everybody got your points added up? Does anybody mind telling me what they are?
4.
Okay, Dawson.
2.
4 as well.
How are you doing it? How many?
3.
You were doing so well.
I
You started off with 2
I
perfect ones.
I got so confused.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. Somehow or other, I remember doing this in a class once in which I was expecting so much more of my students than they gave me. So I dropped the curve down to here, and everybody was so confused with 40% getting an A. It was. Oh, okay. How are we going to address this issue? I mean, this is such a wonderful play.
What's the next part? Discussion.
This part, that we're
Maybe
going on to the
discussion.
hard bits.
Maybe discussion on our mistakes that we've made.
I'm sorry. Could you say that?
Discussion on the mistakes.
Okay.
Not studying dialogue.
That's what I was sort of doing as we were going through it, was discussing the mistakes. The mistakes, I think, are not to have understood literally what's going on in the play itself. And perhaps we should have discussed that more, but we did. at significant length, I think, speak about the fact that we've got this odd triangle with A loves B, loves C, loves A,
I studied that.
and then the characters themselves. Well, I don't know. Maybe we have to read some of it together or something. But 2 points each.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah.
More who says.
What?
But it's more who says, yes, but it's much harder who says.
Oh.
Wow.
Okay, so who
But
said
there
an
were-
eternal
but
bond
there
of
were-
love?
Twice the point, so.
Yeah.
It's good. Anybody get any of them here?
Yeah.
Who said an eternal
Okay.
bond of love? You are like to be much advanced, like an icicle on a Dutchman's beard. That's such a memorable line, don't you think? I am not what I am. I just love that line when it's said. Do you remember the context there? Then I think. Sorry, go ahead.
I think I know who says that. I think I might. But I'm not sure if I should say it.
Yeah, it is, the Lady Olivia
if we're
is
taking
accusing Cesario and says, then thou art not what thou art. I can't remember exactly what the words were. And she responds, then you are right. I am not what I am. Okay, so though that's indeed Viola there. The sweet Roman hand. Now, when we talk about hands, just as we talked about before, we're talking not about your hand, you're talking about your handwriting, your penmanship. And so when we talk about the sweet Roman hand, indeed, the Roman alphabet is what we're talking about here, written down. So who would have said that? I don't think it makes any sense, really. If anybody knows one of these, come up with it now and you get the points. Otherwise, we'll just discuss it without that.
Malvolio?
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Mhm.
It is indeed Malvolio.
Woo!
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and give yourself 2 points for that one. Because it's when he picks up the letter and recognizes the handwriting. Yeah. Direct thy feet where thou and I henceforth may never meet. What a wonderful put down. Direct thy feet where thou and I henceforth may never meet.
It's very well worded.
Yes.
Yeah. Think.
Sounds like something.
Sounds like a. I mean,
Ah.
it could be festive. He said a lot of brilliant stuff. I mean, I'm not saying it is.
Can't admit anything.
Yeah.
Wait,
It's a very significant part of the play. It's the one,
I'm thinking Andrew before.
no, it's the line immediately after Orsino discovers that Cesario has married the Lady Olivia. Cesario, husband, she calls out. And he says, what?
How?
He thinks, Olivia thinks, indeed, that Cesario is the one she married. She actually married Sebastian.
Yeah, because they look the same.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But at that point,
Because they're six.
Orsino
they're
is just,
Yeah.
Identical.
So it's
Yeah.
Orsino
Yeah,
that says it?
I'm sorry?
Is Orsino that says that?
It is Orsino who says it. He's enraged. He's enraged at Cesario and says, you go off. I never want to see you again. Of course, she is head over heels in love with him, and that's the worst thing that could happen to her.
Mhm.
Direct thy feet where thou and I henceforth may never meet. By swaggering could I never thrive. That's a weird one. I know it's a hard one. Oh,
Swaggering.
I'll bet it's not even plugged in.
Oh, it
It's
is.
not only plugged in, it's turned on. Okay.
Around 2 p.m.
Hey, if
What
I,
is it?
if I could,
I think that's supposed to be a hint.
That is it.
For the scene.
could I never fly?
Absolutely, absolutely. When that I was a little tiny boy with a hay roll and drink, I swam good
Oh, be Feste.
It's the song at the very end,
Hmm.
sung by Feste.
Wow. I remember that, yeah.
It's a very interesting song too, because it's one of the rare cases where Shakespeare actually reused something. He uses a song almost identical to that, sung by the fool in King Lear. And I mean, this is a strange cross-pollination because, of course, Lear is a tragedy and this is a comedy, but he actually uses pretty much the same song. And Feste sings this wonderful thing at the end. Very interesting. A willow cabin. That conjures up such images in the mind. How can you not know who said that? Somebody has it?
Who would say something?
Okay, nobody gets that one.
Malvolio?
No.
Okay.
Arsenio.
No. Lady Olivia, in response to Cesario, explaining that that her master loves Lady Olivia and cannot understand her reticence, and then the Lady Olivia asks why. Well, what would you do? In other words, if you were wooing me rather than the Duke Orsino, what would you do? Build me a willow cabin at your gate. Okay, so this is Viola saying this as Cesario to the Lady Olivia. Build me a willow cabin at your gate, and something, but you should pity me. I can't remember exactly how the rest of it goes. Okay, so nobody got that one. One Sir Topaz. Notice the one there because the word Sir Topaz is mentioned elsewhere. But if you say one Sir Topaz,
One Sir Topaz. One Sir Topaz.
Sir Toby.
no.
One Sir Topaz.
Okay, sounds like nobody gets this one.
Wait.
Go ahead.
Sir Andrew. Wait. One Sir. No, it's. I'm going to say Viola.
No.
No, it is indeed Feste. It's at the end when everything is being, it's the denouement is what it's called. The denouement in a play is the point at which everybody discovers what was really going on, when everything is revealed at the end. And Malvolio has come forth with the letter, and it's been determined that the letter was not from the Lady Olivia. It was instead written by Maria, and in recompense for which he hath married her. Sir Toby marries Maria in recompense for having written this letter. Okay, and then Feste comes forth and says, I was one in this play as well. One Sir Topaz. So he reveals that when he was visiting Malvolio the lunatic in his dark house, he had played the role of Sir Topaz. And then he quotes Malvolio. Okay. Last one. Still, you keep to the windy side of the law. You keep on the windy side of the law. It's an interesting line, isn't it? Nobody?
Is it Orsino?
No, it's not. Actually, it looks as though we skipped a couple of
Yeah,
them.
we did.
Yeah,
Skip
Skip the
four.
first four.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll go back and get those in a moment here.
Yeah.
Keep the windy side of the law. We're talking here about the letter, not the letter that confuses Malvolio, but the challenge written by Eguchique. Eguchique writes this odd challenge, and Sir Toby Belch reads it, and Fabian is commenting upon it. And so so the windy side of the law. In other words, this is not against the law. I suppose downwind from the law is the dangerous place to be. But if you're on the windward side of the law, at least that's the way it looks to me. It's Fabian who makes that. Does Sir Toby deliver the challenge letter to Cesario or not?
Wait, actually,
Right,
yeah.
he doesn't.
Wait, no.
Okay, why not?
Sebastian shows up, and
Wait.
yeah, I thought there were. Yeah, because in the play, Sebastian shows up to where Sir Toby
They do
and
indeed
Andrew
have
are.
a duel, but does he deliver the duel challenge letter to Cesario? No, he doesn't. Why doesn't he?
Because he was too wimpy.
No, it's Sir Toby who decides not to deliver the letter. The letter itself is rather peculiar. We know exactly what's in it. But you see what Toby says, not where Eguchique can hear him, but where Fabian hears him. He says, clearly, Cesario is a gentleman. He's well-bred. He knows this from the way he speaks. He knows this from his duty and his responsibility for as a go-between between the two. And so if he looks at a letter like this, it won't scare him at all. He can tell it comes from a clodpole, and that's indeed the word he uses. That's a nice word to keep in your vocabulary, clodpole. And so indeed, this is why he doesn't deliver the letter, but he delivers the challenge by word of mouth instead, because had he delivered the letter, Cesario would have realized what an idiot it had come from. Okay, the other two, you are like to be much advanced.
Oh,
we do number one?
Yeah, the first
We
four.
skipped over the first four.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and we skipped
No,
over
no,
one
it's the
again.
first
Wait, number one, an eternal bond of love. Oh yeah, that's even harder. An eternal bond of love. This is the point at which the Lady Olivia, having accused Cesario of having said Cesario was her husband, calls forth the priest, and the priest swears to it. The priest swears indeed what has transpired between these two, an eternal bond of love. Okay, so it's the priest who says that. The priest has no name in this one. The priest does in others, but he has no name here. Okay, and then who says thou would like to be much advanced? You are like to be much advanced. Again, this is not one of the characters. Not one of the characters mentioned here.
Attending?
It's an attending character.
Yes.
Valentine is the name of the character. Okay, speaking to Cesario. And like an icicle on a Dutchman's beard. How can you hear a line like that and not note who said it?
Icicle.
Okay, that was Fabian. Fabian, the other servant, who is talking to Sir Andrew Eguchique, and trying to egg him on to action, specifically to the duel. And likening him to icicle on Dutchman's beard for inaction and not doing anything. All right, now we get the really hard ones.
Wait,
Wait,
did we
still
cover number?
four.
We didn't cover
Yeah,
number
yeah.
4.
Oh yeah, so let's go ahead
Yeah.
and count them.
We did.
Some
Viola.
Viola,
a
yeah.
couple of these, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you got one of them right, go ahead and give yourself 2 points per question that
same
you're right.
here.
No, there weren't very many right answers there. I feel that if I said, has anybody got this? And I got no answers at all and start explaining it, then nobody gets credit for that but me. Okay. Okay. Any questions at all in that lot? What made them more difficult was the fact that these were not necessarily major characters. There was
Yeah,
the
that's true,
priest.
because there's a priest,
this is
attendees, or attendants, and
Right.
yeah.
Except, of course, this one is major character.
Credit. I'm 1 point away from
I'm sorry?
1 point.
Well, let's
Extra
see
credit,
if
let's
you
see.
get a 5-pointer here.
Yes.
Okay, one at a time here. What is the elephant? Somebody have the answer to that? Okay, sounds as though nobody has that one. The elephant is the name of the inn where Antonio and Sebastian agreed to meet. In what sea was the shipwreck?
Duke Orsino.
In what sea?
Oh, sorry. Oh, okay, yeah, these aren't reset. Never mind. I thought these were. Sorry.
In what sea? Now, I know I told you this. This is hard because it's not in the play anywhere.
It would be the Adriatic.
Very good, very good. Dawson got it, the Adriatic. We know it's the Adriatic because we talked about where Illyria was.
Mhm.
And Illyria was somewhere on that side of the Adriatic that used to be, what was the name of it before they broke it up into Croatia and Serbia and Montenegro?
Yugoslavia.
Yugoslavia, that's right. Used to be Yugoslavia. It's somewhere over there. But indeed, the Adriatic is that chunk of the Mediterranean that separates Italy and indeed separates Venice from the other side where Illyria was. Okay, who had a mole upon his brow?
Sir Toby?
Nope.
Rocinio?
I'm sorry?
Rocinio?
Nope.
I was gonna say Malvolio.
Nope.
It could be girl, for all we know.
It could be
His
That's
brow,
a guy.
though. His brow.
Antonio. Antonio.
Nope.
Okay.
That's right. Can you get that one for
Yeah,
us?
they've excluded a lot of the possible options. So.
You
Yeah.
have indeed.
Oh.
The answer to this one is somebody who's not in
Yeah.
the play.
Oh.
Thank
So
you.
that's even harder.
But it's mentioned in the play. It's very clear who it is.
A priest?
My father had a mole upon his brow, and so did mine.
It's no, I mean Viola's father.
Viola's father
Mm.
and Sebastian's father.
Yeah.
My father. That's how one of the clues that indeed they are who they are, and they are Geschwister, siblings. Okay. Whose deaths are mentioned in the play?
Sebastian's. Well, I mean,
He was alive, isn't he?
yeah.
Well,
Yes,
indeed,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. Sebastian's father, who was also named Sebastian, was indeed his death was mentioned. Give yourself points for that. Good. There were others, however, and the other deaths specifically were
It was Lady Olivia's brother.
Lady Olivia's father and Lady Olivia's brother. Very
Wait,
good.
wasn't her Lady Olivia's brother Sebastian? 'Cause she died in the shipwreck, or he died in the shipwreck.
No, those are
No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh, I meant Viola's.
Viola's, yes,
Viola's.
yes.
Yeah,
And he didn't die, it turns out.
yeah, he
Yeah.
survived, but it was mentioned, right?
Okay. And who is Gray Capulet?
I doubt he's someone in the play, but I could be wrong.
Well, he's not in the dramatis personae anyway.
Was he
You
an
might see him.
attendant?
He's what?
An attendant?
No,
Was
A
he
priest?
the priest?
no.
Mm.
Okay,
Somebody
I
else
don't think
guess.
anybody gets points for this one. It's the name of Sir Andrew Aguecheek's horse,
Oh,
who is used to. He offers his horse to give up the battle to stop the duel. Okay, does anybody have any serious questions about this one? Okay, I have a big question, and that is, how are we going to approach the next one in such a way that we will actually
The next one?
gain some grasp over it? Well, the next project, whatever it is, we have a number of them that I've suggested. Hamlet, the big one. Pygmalion, the language one. I'd like to make a couple of other suggestions because these are things that would pay you to know about.
Mhm.
They're really works that are worthy of consideration. Does anybody have any others they want to suggest? I'd like to suggest adding Romeo and Juliet to that just because it's one of the big ones.
Mhm. I wouldn't have a problem with that. Actually,
Shall we look at that as a possibility? Have you had a chance already to see the Hamlet play that
Yes.
I posted up there?
Mhm. I saw
How
that
did
in
you like
like
it?
another version on YouTube.
Great. And who says? Let's see. A lady, but alas, she's dead.
That was one of the people who were bearing.
Very
Yeah.
good. Excellent points. That one of the grave diggers in the grave digger scene. Excellent. Okay. That's one that I mean, it's one of the big ones, and so for that reason, I'd like to consider it.
Okay.
There are other works of literature. We went through that list of the reading list for the Common Core, much of which I think is really worthy of study. There's nothing wrong with the choices they've made.
Mhm.
It's just that I feel that they've constrained their interests to only that which doesn't, that isn't at all controversial. And a little controversy, I think, can be an interesting thing. So, okay, so for points here, can I, has everybody got their
exactly
points?
one
totaled?
project.
Exactly one, okay. Anybody else add up to 10?
I got 24 points.
Good.
Especially at the end.
Good. Okay. Going to try to remember this so that I put it down. So you'll get 2 points. Anybody else?
I got 8.
I got 9.
Okay. So wonderful. All right. Let's go on to other things. We have a couple of projects to look at. A couple of wonderful projects to look at. All right. This one is Nicholas's general purpose.
That's the old one.
This is the old one, but the old one is the one that has my comments in it. And the new one, I assume, incorporated those and may indeed have improved upon them. By the way, when you do a rewrite, please post the rewrite as a response to your
Not a
original.
new
That way
project.
it's all in the
Mhm.
same thread.
Yeah,
Okay.
gotcha.
Okay, so we've got a number of things here that I'd like to look at because one of the problems that I seem to be having is in class, I can get you to look at it and you do see why this is clearly an improvement. but I can't figure out how to inspire you to find those improvements before you hand the project in rather than afterwards in class. So let me know how I can manage to make that work a little better.
I know how.
How is that?
We all take you home with us. And we share you.
Well, think one of the ways to do it is listen to well-spoken English, well-spoken language, and then read it aloud and see how it fits in your ear. One of the things you'll notice is that well-constructed language is rarely chopped up into little tiny sentences. And indeed, that's one of the first things I did with this. The tongue is one of the most ancient tools known to civilization. Well, that's an odd assertion. But if you stop it right there, we've got choppy sentences. And then we'll go on and say, with this marvelous tool, so I combined them together. Say the tongue is one of the most ancient tools known to civilization, comma, one with which much may be achieved in the short-lived days of man. This is an interesting phrase. There's nothing really wrong with it, but I find it a little lumpy. As if it had just originated. Okay, just a little bit too colloquial, I find. Merely sounds a good deal nicer, don't you think? And then I came across this sheer. Oh, that's an interesting problem. Where can one use the word sheer? Well, you can say, that was sheer idiocy.
Yeah.
Okay, that's true. We can say that. But you can't say with the sheer purpose. That doesn't work very well. With the sole purpose, that works fine. But you can't say, this is sole idiocy. You see what I mean? They don't work. You have to...
I think
you have to hear in your ear
I think
which
I
one's
hear
gonna
some
fit.
people get those two reversed. They use sheer in
Um,
place of soul and soul in place of sheer.
yeah, they're both the same part of speech, but they can't be used the same way, which is interesting. Anyway, originated the sole purpose of communication. It also has its drawbacks. This doesn't work very well as a counterpoint. This doesn't work very well as a contradiction. Although it was created for this purpose, it also has its drawbacks. That doesn't really fit very well, I didn't think. This device has separated nations, split kingdoms, and sparked war. I suggested fulminated. This is an excellent sentence right here, because what have you done? You've used you've used a list, you've used a coordination, is what it's often called, a parallel construct with 3 items in it. And that's very important. So it has separated nations, it has split kingdoms, it has fulminated war. That's a rhetorical construct that's always worth putting in something like this. In any speech you make, in anything you write, use things in sets of 3 and make sure that they are parallel. This is parallel and it works. There's so many cases in which it's put together and it isn't properly parallel. Okay, but with all of crisis, I don't know what you were thinking of there. But this is a more common way of collocation to use. But for all its faults, it has also united countries, built cities and industries, and the United States of America was built upon it.
I changed that.
Okay, and building the United States of America upon the tongue doesn't really work very well, but we could work around that. Okay. I put in the word founded here because it was not parallel without it, because we're talking about what it has done. It has also united countries, built cities, and industries. You see, we're
Yeah.
missing the verb there. We need to put that verb in to make it work. And the United States was built on the tongue. Well, we could extend that a little bit. Was built upon.
I think I aided in the.
Fabrication
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember what I put, but in the revision I cleared that up.
Okay, good. Let's look at your revision in a second. This tool has withstood the test of time. It's a cliche, but it's a perfectly usable one. In becoming essential to our daily lives. I think we could improve upon that a lot. There's nothing really wrong with it. Freedom of speech was inscribed on the Constitution, and this idea had been bestowed onto future generations, has been bestowed upon future generations. Can you see why that's better than the other one? Had been bestowed onto. If you look at bestowed on and bestowed onto in quotes, and then look at the count, that'll tell you why I chose this one. It has been bestowed upon future generations and many more to come. With this simple device, one may spread, I suggested disseminate just as another alternative, his or her, I understand why you use that to avoid using synesis and putting in there, but once you've said the word one, stay with it. Once one may disseminate one's golden ideas to be collected, replicated, and written down in history for posterity. You've got another triplet here. I mean, I want to give you 5 points each for each one of those you put in there correctly, because those are good. The golden ideas to be collected, replicated, and I think recorded is a whole lot better than written down.
Yeah.
In history for the approaching years, well, how about for posterity and the approaching years, we could say decades, centuries, millennia, I mean, as far as you want to stretch it out. Okay. Let's go and take a look at your other version. Let's see. Okay, that's Brian's, so let's go this way. Interesting. It doesn't remember me very long, does it? Okay, here is the revision. I still saw a couple of funny little things in it. The tongue is one of the most ancient tools known to civilization. Needed the comma there. I did put the comma in, and I put it in here. One with which much may be achieved in the short-lived days of man. As if it had merely originated with the sole purpose of communication, it also has its drawbacks. I don't think you meant as if here. You meant and if, right?
Yes.
Because otherwise, this is a sentence fragment, as if it had. Okay. This device has separated nations. Okay, got to fix that. And aided the idea of betrayal. Okay, and it's interesting how you say that, because indeed it's very true that language has been a tool both of communication and of obfuscation, and one could even say perfidy. You've got your dictionaries handy? What is perfidy? Anybody?
I guess the untrustfulness.
On what?
I guess untrustfulness.
Yes, yeah, really it is. because something that's perfidious. Yes, I think that's good.
We don't need a dictionary.
Very good. It's a betrayal of trust in the sense that if one has bestowed trust upon someone and that person betrays it, that's an act of perfidy, or it's a perfidious act. Excellent. It could be put much better than this. However, I'm trying to think of how to do that. One essay that I'm tempted to inflict upon you is one that George Orwell wrote on the use of language to obscure and obfuscate, especially in political writing. If you're interested in that, I'll bring it and we'll look at it. But for all its faults, it has also united countries, built cities, and founded industries. Beautiful trick there. This tool has withstood the test of time in becoming essential to our daily lives. It works okay. Freedom of speech was inscribed on the Constitution, and this idea has been bestowed on future generations and many more to come. With this simple device, one may disperse one's golden ideas to be collected, replicated, and recorded in history for posterity and the approaching centuries. That sounds good. The end of that really, I think, that's the kind of line that I've seen in these winning essays that immediately jumps out and says, this is why this essay won, was because this person was able to demonstrate that kind of mastery, even if it's over a couple of sentences and the rest of it is prosaic and quotidian and pedestrian. Okay, nicely done. Nicely done.
I read your paper, Brian.
What's that?
I read your paper, Brian.
Oh, Brian's one.
Thanks.
Well, we're about to look at that.
Oh, no, that's interesting.
Okay, good thoughts and research. Indeed, you've done some good research here, and you've referenced your research at the beginning. That's fine. This question that I asked here, you answer later on, and perhaps you had reason for waiting on that. Okay. I felt here you used an abbreviation before, or you used an acronym before expanding it.
Yeah, expanding it.
In fact, I don't think you expand that one anywhere.
I don't know if that
So I looked it up and assume I got it right. It causes many health risks. To cause a risk, there's nothing wrong with it at all.
poses,
But
yeah.
you pose a risk is very specific for use with risks.
Mhm.
You see what I mean? Poses a hazard. Okay. As gasoline or coal is being burned, we don't need the burn there. The being really is burned. It releases nitrous oxide, nitroxide. Okay. And volatile organic compounds. Okay. And here you have spelled those out. So in each case, if you're going to be using those as an acronym, we want to put the acronym in at this point.
In capitals as well, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Acronyms.
Mhm.
And generally one would capitalize the expansion, the initial words of the expansion
yeah.
as well, into the air that is toxic and corrosive. This bears the ability to potentially be. Okay, it's besides the split infinitive, that's just so incredibly fumbling. This is potentially dangerous. Simplify. Well, whenever you can simplify, it's really best.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily mean reduce your vocabulary down. Use the right word. Don't use an obscure word because it's obscure. Use it because it's the right one. But there's no need to use excessive verbiage if you want to be clear.
Yeah.
If you're, on the other hand, trying to obfuscate, then that's a different story. Okay, so, and it can cause many health problems, including so forth. Visible air pollution means that there are consists of particles of pollution suspended within liquids or solid. I think that's just vastly better than what you had to begin with. And especially if you're going to go on to say, which means they are actually everywhere, means that they are would be repetition, would be horrible. Okay, smog was originally mentioned, I would perhaps say first mentioned as early as 1905 by Dr. Henry Antoine de Wool. Right?
Would it be okay to have the smog originally mentioned if there's a comma right after the smog?
That would work too, I think. Smog, comma, originally was.
No, not really. What if you have your subject followed by your verb? You don't put a comma between subject and verb. Was that your question?
You're right. Yeah.
No, that doesn't work.
Mhm.
Is this voyeur?
Yes. I don't
Yeah,
think
I
the
think so.
yeah. I don't think the X is.
Was used to describe the combination of sulfur dioxide and smoke from heavy use. Okay. In Victorian England, smog results from the formation of ozone. Rather than saying smog happens when, you see why you don't want to have smog happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Occurs.
Smog, yeah, occurs would work, but I still think smog results from
The
formation of
formation, yeah.
ozone. Photochemical reactions between the volatile organic compounds, nitrous oxide, when subjected to sunlight. I think what I said is what you're saying, but I'm not
No, yeah,
absolutely
it's just
sure.
it's a different wording of it. Yes.
Do your local communities and neighborhoods perform this is a strange word to choose here.
It is a word. If
You know
nobody
how
believes-
strange it is. I don't need to say it. It's one of those made-up words which I find does not really help your cause. It's like repudiate that, splendiferous, absquatulate. There are a number of words that have been sort of made up at one point or another and found their way into parlance, but they don't really have any history and they don't really have any literature.
Super tedious.
Super tedious?
Super tedious. I think that's a word.
It's not one I've ever heard.
Super tedious.
They're supercilious, but
Sounds like 2 words. Super tedious.
Yeah.
it could
Yeah.
it could be a portmanteau,
I think.
which is a way, which is 2 words stuck together. For example, the word meld is a portmanteau, oddly, because it's so often used now to mean conflating things together, to use another wonderful word, but it isn't. It was originally
what
simply
word?
to announce.
What
Meld.
word?
Melt.
M-E-L-D.
Meld.
Meld.
It
Not
was an
mold?
announcement, especially when
No.
playing cards or something. You would announce something or state something, whereas it's to melt and to weld combined together in order to make that new meaning. But it's used all the time. You would probably note that in the listening exercises I gave you for this week, Dr. Michio Kaku uses it in the new sense, which really, okay. And to give ozone a solid break, I have no idea what you meant by that.
It is what it is, a solid break.
Please
A
explain.
solid break from all the smog and emissions from any possible.
We're giving the ozone a break?
The ozone and the environment as a whole.
Okay, well, if we're giving the ozone that's in the stratosphere a break, I can understand that. Okay, I'm confused.
Ozone, you can have your lunch break now.
Okay. Good. Go ahead and improve it if you can manage to do that and tack it onto that one. All right, let's go on to other things. We've got so many other things to hit. We haven't even looked. Haven't given you your quiz on scansion. You don't really want that today, do you?
I don't think it's possible.
Yeah, I don't. It's 4:11
Oh,
already.
yeah.
Sorry for that.
Okay, know them all though. Can I ask you to do that?
Yeah.
Let's go over here and look
Where
at
is it posted?
where's what posted?
The scansion guide.
Oh, it's in the main classroom here. This classroom is a copy of the one you were using before, and all of the same things are in it. So if we look down here under poetry, interesting.
Yeah, and I was looking for something earlier today too.
Trust me,
Oh,
it's
I
here.
couldn't find a 12th night under Shakespeare either.
I have a feeling there. With this new classroom, I say it's so hard to use. It was much easier in the old one to move things around from one place to another. You can't do it that way anymore. It used to be that I was able to say, okay, move this, and it would give me a complete page where I could just point to where it was supposed to go. With the new system, you're supposed to drag it, and it scrolls like this. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to move things around very easily on this one.
Yeah. You gotta make sure you're going full at the bottom so that you can drag it quickly.
That's a good point, but it was really just.
Yeah.
I apologize. I don't know where it is, but if we do a search, I'm sure we will find it. Let's just take a quick look here. Poetic sketch. Okay, you all know how to do that with your browser, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can find it. Trust me, it's
It's
there.
online everywhere too, as well. So
What's that?
it's online everywhere.
Oh
too,
yes,
so,
oh yes, it's online everywhere. The only reason you might want to look at this one is it does vary somewhat depending on who's putting it up, and this is the one I would use when I'm putting together the test. But if we go into the agenda here, let's look at the agenda for today. 12th night test as discussed last week. Okay, you all knew it was coming.
And we all passed with flying colors.
Yeah.
Poetic devices quiz. We'll put that off to next time.
Okay.
Let's see. Presentations, recitations, discussion of assignments. Let's look at the assignments here. We've taken the test. It's dispiriting somewhat. I'm not sure how to address that, but my wife, when she comes home after teaching math all day,
Oh.
and her students are averaging 30% on the test. I mean, it's what can one say? What can one do? One's expectations are perhaps simply too high. All right, I did assign Michio Kaku a lecture there upon in response to a request for more information on parallel universes, which is a fascinating thing when you think about it. It's just completely turned physics on its ear.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell us something about it, Ryan?
I thought it was pretty cool. He had a lot of great points, and he's a very, very interesting, smart guy. And I just thought everything he was saying really made me think. And I was just like, what if, like, is that actually possible? Like, is there a different, like, exact galaxy just millions of miles away, just...
Or
It's
not any
incredible.
distance away at all. It's
Yeah,
right
it's
here.
right here.
You know,
Yeah, it's crazy.
it's interesting and fascinating to contemplate, and it's one that, although it's in theory, I suppose, it's been thought about for a long time, but it's only recently that the major players in the world are recognizing
Research,
that
yeah.
this may indeed be not only mathematically it comes together mathematically so beautifully. It's hard to imagine it not being true.
Yeah, really.
But also the fact that it might actually explain dark matter. If we have a spillage of gravitational force between different planes of matter, that could explain it, because we sure can't understand where all that gravitation comes from based on our understanding of how much matter there is in our universe. So maybe some other universe that's responsible for it. Wow. Also interesting observations. What was the big observation that he made about the expanding universe? Einstein regarded the universe like a soap bubble, and we're on the surface, and it's expanding, but it's slowing down. Is that true?
I thought it was speeding up.
Right? Turns out that it is speeding up, and it's going to disperse itself and cool down and go into well, essentially it's going to die. It's going to take millions of years to get there. But the question is, what is the point of anything if we know all of existence is going to simply wink out?
Yeah.
We don't know. We can't be for sure.
What is Gaku's response to that? There's an escape clause. There may be an umbilical cord to a new universe.
Soap bubble, if you will.
Interesting ideas, fascinating. What about his language? What do you think of his language? Oh, you're kidding me. I apologize. I'm so sorry to keep you folks over. I know you've told me that you don't have time to do that. All right, let's aim at things next week. We've got to make a decision, though, on what we want to read next week. I feel like suggesting 12th night. But let's go on.
Maybe we take the test again. I don't know.
By all means, you want me to come up with another test?
Another who said test?
I'm sorry?
Another who said test?
Like
gonna be a test of
Who said it is a pretty good kind of test to use for this. Anyway, next week, shall we look at Romeo and Juliet, or do you want to go to a big one? Let's do Romeo and Juliet. I think that. I'm sorry.
Hamlet as well.
Well, let's do both of them. I think probably doing them at the same time is a bit much.
Yeah.
But Romeo and Juliet's a bit shorter. You all know it already to some extent, I think.
Yeah.
At least you know how to read it. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's aim at that one. Let me get the
So
points
many-
down. You got 1 point.
Yeah.
I got one
You got
project.
3, right?
I got 24 points.
You got 2 for the test, and you got well, you got another 5 points for the extra credit anyway.
Yeah, I think so. Something like that.
So I'll give you 3 anyway.
No, John.
Nobody else got any, right?
I only got one project. What did you get?
I got 8.
8.
I got 9 points.
Okay, what did you get?
Yeah.
10.
Okay.
You got 20.
Do you want to take the test again?
24.
Okay. We'll look at another test for next week on
Okay,
12th
and then
night then.
next week is the scansion test as well. Or the poetry.
Let's do that.
So
Let's
we're
do
having
that.
2 next.
Scansion test and the
Okay.
repeat test on this.
I will stick.
Okay, have a good week.
You too.
You too.
Thank you.
Okay, bringing class to an end.